queen, the magician, the lover in you. Every single day, we are called to walk in our purpose. Answer the call. Lay down your burden and anything that holds you back and take your rightful place. The battle is everywhere. It's right in your face. Let's go.
Magnets, crystals, pyramids. Magnets, crystals, pyramids. Magnets, crystals, pyramids. Welcome home, family, and join us for the fun.
Welcome to Magnets, Crystals, and Pyramids. Success is your destiny. Yes. Love, wisdom, power. Remember always who you are. Yes. Yes. I am love, wisdom. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Moorish Monday with Abdullah El Tele Mosi Bey on Magnus Crystals Pyramid YouTube and Moroccan Post Media YouTube. Welcome. We have a very enlightening show for you today. I'm so excited to be among these intelligent brothers. I love it. So we have our guest speaker today, Brother Keng Bay, using legal principles to protect and safeguard our community. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so. Let people know that we are live and direct, live and well, live in full effect. Share the link to your various social media platforms. All right, so the day's title is using legal safeguards to protect and safeguard our community. We're going to before King starts, we have Brother Rahim Allah Bey. He is the founder and president of Meeting of the Minds Civic Association. And he's going to read the plan of action. He's out of New York, and he'll be also working out of North Jersey, along with Luisa Flores. She is the coordinator, the community outreach coordinator of the Meeting of the Minds Civic Association. You also have the flyers up. I guess you'll read this first, and then he'll go into the flyers. All right, so Brother Rahim, you have the floor.
All right, Islam, peace, love, and light. Gratitude to Magna Crystal Pyramid, you, Brother Abdullah and Keng, for having me. Legal tools to safeguard and protect our community. Today we gather not to just talk about problems, but to present solutions. Our plan of action is rooted in one fundamental principle. Knowledge of the law is power, and when that knowledge is shared collectively, it becomes protection. Our objective is clear: to create civic and educational pathways that improve the political, economic, and social conditions of our communities. We aim to do this by teaching our people the legal tools necessary to prevent and challenge discriminatory practices, including due process violations, prosecutorial misconduct, judicial misconduct, police misconduct, unethical agency practices. These are not abstract issues. These are real challenges affecting real families, real futures, and real communities. Moving from reaction to prevention. For too long, many of our communities have been placed in a reactionary position, responding only after harm has occurred. Our plan shifts that paradigm. We move from a reactionary approach to a preventive, strategic approach. Instead of asking, what do we do now that the damage is done? We ask, how do we prevent the damage in the first place? Education is the foundation of prevention. When communities understand their constitutional protections, their procedural rights, complaint mechanisms, oversight bodies, administrative remedies, legislative channels, they become less vulnerable and more empowered. Preventive measures. Our initiative focuses on preventive measures designed to de-escalate volatile encounters, deter discriminatory actions, diminish systemic targeting, solve prejudicial situations before they escalate. We educate our people on how to properly document incidents, file complaints with the appropriate local, state, and federal agency, pursue civil remedies and lawsuits where necessary, engage legislative representatives, advocate for policy reform. This is not about confrontation. It's about lawful strategic engagement. It's about understanding the system well enough to navigate it effectively. Stopping the corrosion. Unchecked misconduct corrodes trust. Unchecked discrimination corrodes opportunity. Unchecked targeting corrodes entire communities. Our mission is to stop that corrosion. We do that not through rhetoric, but through structure, through education, through lawful action, and through organized civic engagement. Pathways to remedy and resolution. Every problem must have a pathway to remedy. We are building clear pathways to administrative resolution, judicial remedies, legislative reform, community accountability, policy transformation. We are building a culture where our communities know where to go, what to file, who to contact, what timelines apply, what standards must be met. And most importantly, we build culture where our people understand their rights before those rights are violated. In closing, this is about safeguarding our communities. This is about strengthening civic literacy. This is about transforming vulnerability into preparedness. We teach legal tools, we build protection. When we build protection, we build stability. When we build stability, we build power. This is our plan of action. Legal tools, civic education, preventive measures, pathways to remedy and resolution. When unity and knowledge comes together, it becomes an unstoppable force. Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful, my brother, beautiful.
All right, so you want to?
All right. We have two events coming. You want to pull up?
The first one is
Yeah, the green and blue.
the The blue one. You have it at the bottom.
Meeting of the minds.
Your meeting of the minds at the bottom. You got to pull that up.
Pull that up. Drag that
Drag it up. The bottom one up. Drag the bottom one up.
The blue one right there.
Yeah, right there. No, that's not it.
No, it's the other one.
The flyer,
Yeah,
other
the
flyer.
flyer.
Yeah, that's the blue. Yeah, yes,
Got
the
it.
flyer. I thought that.
Okay, drag that other one down. Drag that blue one down. Meeting of the minds. Drag that out the way.
All right, there we go. We good. All right, go ahead, Raheem.
All right, we're having a free to the public learning legal tools to protect and safeguard our communities on April 2nd, 2026 at the Ambrose Ward Mansion. That's AMBROSE Ward, WARD Mansion, 132 South Harrison Street, East Orange, New Jersey, 07018, and that is from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m.
I'll read the entire flyer. Go to the top and then come down. Read the bullet points and everything.
Learning legal tools to protect and safeguard our community.
Read the top, very top.
Meeting of the Minds. Civic Association and Louisa Flores presents Civic Education Lecture Series with King L. Bay. Learning legal tools to protect and safeguard our communities. Learn due process to handle legal cases. Learn how to address prosecutorial misconduct. Why you should know the rules of the court. What is the role of prosecutor and judge? How to read statutes. Pardon. Ambrose Ward Mansion, 132 South Harrison Street, East Orange, New Jersey, 07018, April 2nd, 2026, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Contact Rahim Allah Bey, founder and president of Meeting of the Minds Civic Association. Cell phone number 347-832-9875.
And at the bottom are logos of sponsors. We'll just show the picture. Yes. All right. We'll go to the April 6th, the May 16th, the purple flyer. You're gonna start from the very top.
Meeting of the Minds Civic Association and Louisa Flores presents Civic Education Lecture Series with King L. Bay. Learning legal tools to protect and safeguard our communities. Learn due process to handle legal cases. Learn how to address prosecutorial and police misconduct. Why you should know the rules of the court. What is the role of the prosecutor and judge? How to read statutes. May 16th, 2026. Doors open at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. 122-13 Guy R. Brewer Boulevard, Jamaica, New York, 11434. This is at Lux Venue. Tickets are $25. And you can contact again Rahim Allah Bey, founder and president of Meeting of the Minds Civic Association. Cell phone number 347-832-9875.
Just show the sponsors. All right. Next flyer. I'll read the next flyer. Yeah, the not that one, the flyer. The August 16th, Awakening. Well, that's not the flyer. That's the old flyer. That's the old flyer. You don't have the other flyer up there. All right. That's all right. You don't have that because it's a different, it's May 8, August 16th. We changed the date. So we'll go to Raheem's logo then. Pull up the logo. This is spend your logo, Raheem. Raheem.
For itself, yeah. Meeting of the Minds Civic Association is growing the minds through civic education. So we have there the brother who's educating the youth who have changed on their head on their heads, you know, symbolizing that we've been conditioned and we're breaking the chains of conditioning through civic education. So you have the books of Black Laws Dictionary, Etymology Dictionary, and Semantics on the left, and on the right you have the human rights treaties in the U.S. Constitution. So this is to provide civic education to the New York and North Jersey areas in the studies of nationality, consanguinity, ancestry, genealogy, and legal bond to and protect a nation state, human rights, civil polity, political polity, jurisprudence, the legal philosophy and legal principles, law of nations, etymology, the study and history, origin, true meaning of words, and semantics, the study and the change of meaning of words.
Right on. Hey, King, you keep coming, you keep fading in and out. Is there a way you can correct that? You've been doing that for the past 10 minutes. I didn't say anything because I didn't want to interrupt the flow. But you keep fading in and out. All right, so all right. You're muted.
Okay.
Is there, all right, because we don't, all right, you're good now, but I think when you move back, you fade out. So you just got to stay forward then. All right. Yes, welcome everyone who's just joining us to Moorish Monday with Abdullah Tale Mosi Bey. Our website is usually strolling across the stream. It's moorisandmasonry.org. Don't forget to hit that like button and also hit the ding 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 notification bell if you haven't done so. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. So welcome once again who's just joining us. We have Keng Bey is our guest speaker for tonight. Today's topic is using legal tools to protect and safeguard our communities. All right, so next we'll put up the video. Did he jump off? Israel jump off?
He might have.
Call him, please. All right. Yeah, so we're gonna see what Israel is supposed to be playing this video that will lead into the presentation. And while you can type your questions in the chat. We're gonna field questions. Type your questions in the chat. Today's topic, once again, is using legal tools to safeguard and protect our community. Raheem, you want to say anything? Because we're waiting for Israel to put up this video I think he had dropped off. Oh, wow. All right, so I'll just, let me just fill the chat here, see what's going on. Nathan Wright says the Louisa Forest, peace and love. Setinil Islamism, Moors, peace and love. Numaz, hey, you're like 3 doors down for me. Hey, neighbor. Nathan Wright, Grand Rising, brothers and sisters.
Oh, Hank gotta let him back in so he can load up because he had to switch the screen.
All right. All right, I got to call Hank. Brother Hank, you hear us? Brother Hank. All right, I got to drop off. Could call him.
We got an exciting one for y'all tonight. We're gonna talk about a lot of good information, but I don't want to spoil it yet. I want the video to play, and then I want everyone to tune in. Tune in to this information, utilizing legal tools. We're going to tailor this information where people can understand particular information to understand how to get remedy, not utilizing misconceptions that of the past. Now we putting people back into the proper legal framework to think proper and teaching you, giving you skills on how to analyze a case and to see if if the principles are being met because you can identify certain elements so that you can understand how to meet those thresholds when dealing in your civil case. So there's some things that's going on. We'll be loading up in a minute, family. Give us a second, and it's going to be a great show. Waiting on Abdullah to return so we can get this all together, family.
All right. Yes. We got Raheem back and waiting for our is he back? He said
He said he was backstage. He got to let
yes.
him in.
All right, here we go.
Problem admitting I don't know that. And I think you want that in your office holders because the power we have, the power I have as a prosecutor is that with a swipe of my pen, I can charge someone with a misdemeanor, the lowest level offense possible. And by virtue of that swipe of my pen, you will have to go to a courthouse and stand in line. You will have to come out of pocket and hire an attorney. You may get arrested for a few hours. You will be embarrassed in your community. You will miss time from coming onto the Google campus, all because with the swipe of my pen, I've charged you with a crime, which I may choose to dismiss 2 weeks later. It's an incredible amount of power. And you want to make sure that the people who have this kind of power are taking seriously the responsibility in terms of understanding, as much as anything, the impact on the people who will be affected by that.
Absolutely. Great. Well, next question.
You've outlined the issues you consider important.
All right, I think that'll be it.
From a practical perspective, can you explain or clarify?
Yes. So that was 18, almost 19 years ago. Kamala Harris was prosecutor. She was on the Google campus. I'm being interviewed. And so that was put in, God, that was done at that time, almost 19 years ago now. All right, so Brother King, Uh, we're gonna begin there. All right. So let's talk. You're muted.
Okay. So let's get into that structure of what she was talking about, the context. So those individuals who hold that seat, right? The people have to be aware of their duties and obligations. They sit in the seat because we put them there. And we have an obligation as well as them to check. They're supposed to be checks and balances. The government and the people are on equal footing, supposed to be. But as we see throughout time, we have been the target of these misconducts. And now, with these tools and understanding what due process look like, and understanding prosecutorial misconduct, understanding professional rules of conduct that a prosecutor must hold while in office, now we can understand how to approach this on in a more appropriate and focused and effective manner than just randomly protesting and doing other things that's outside of the legal framework to ensure that something happens that's going to promote change and discourage what discriminatory practices. So through learning these tools, we can identify, right? Then we can target and then take action. This information that we're going to share tonight is the cornerstone of what needs to happen to allow our community to promote growth, change, and development. So we're trying to a community who is been targeted, has a scarcity of resources, who don't have the proper education, who don't have the understanding of the legal system, and that's a part of the education because it's not taught in school. Most people have to go to where? To court, I mean, school, to a school to learn some type of have a legal understanding. And most of them are even limited in their capacity because they're mostly finite in teaching what? Procedurals. So they learn procedure. They don't understand from a jurist perspective to shape the whole legal framework from the Constitution all the way to international law. How did the United States get in this position to understanding how the legislative authority acts and the three branches of government and how they all working together and their boundaries, right? If we don't understand what's going on, we can't play the game like it's supposed to be played. So when she said she has the power to with the power of a pen, that's why they say the pen is mightier than the sword. She can change your future, your whole trajectory. You can go to jail and sit in jail for months at a time, years. It's people that's right now haven't been had arraignment, haven't been in front of a judge, and they're just vanished in our society. And due to the fact they have scarcity of resources, they can't even really call home. Because you got certain people that take over those phones and they have control of those phones. And if you don't have resources and you're limited and you're going to college and your family and you're the only person and the first person in your family trying to go to college, your family is really struggling and you were trying to promote change through your search for the American dream. Now it's just been stripped. And then they might let you out and say, oh, we apologize. This is these legal tools, learning due process. What is due process? Due process is a requisite that government says that this is our warranty, this is our insurance, that before we can do anything, before we can take you and strip you of your liberties, any property, or any rights that you have, that we're going to guarantee that we're going to do this. It's a constitutional what? Requisite. That means they can't get around it. It's non-negotiable. Is you can't undo it. You can't stop it. It's a permanent fixture in the contract. They can't stop it. So nobody can take it away. So when you understand due process, there's two forms. There is substantive and procedural. Some of us understand the legality of procedural, but even that in our community is a lot of that's being confused and thrown into a pot of misconceptions, and they don't understand how this works. So let me explain to you procedural. Procedural is the rules that is set up. And who set up these rules? The legislative body, Congress, or your General Assembly, they write the statutes. So the Supreme Court sits at the head of the legal framework. The Supreme Court is the ultimate authority of all authorities when dealing with what? How to interpret law. The interpretation is more important than the construction. When you understand the construction of the law, how it's constructed, the interpreter must understand how to interpret that. If I'm communicating to you something and you can't exercise the instructions, and it doesn't matter how well I communicate it, if you don't understand what I'm saying, you can't take action on it properly. I don't care how well it's written. So the Supreme Court sits in that authority to interpret, to ensure that when the legislators make that law, that they understand the intent and the purpose. But they also got to measure if that statute meet constitutional muster. And what does that mean? That it can't go out the scope of the Constitution itself. It must stay within the confines of that Constitution. And what do I mean? All the provisions in the Constitution, all the protections, all the scopes, all the different provisions, and how those provisions must processes must work in unison with that constitutional fold in which is expressed in that Constitution. So it must be to that degree. It's a very high standard. So when we understand these components and we start looking at, okay, this is how this should work, now we can start having the ability to assess and look at things from a proper state of eyes where we can read the law and now be able to act accordingly and put it into a situation where now we can get remedy. When those corrosions break down from agencies and government officials, now based on these legal tools, now we can stop the erosion and start mending those things to ensure that now we can get those remedies. So when we look at due process from the procedural point, these are the rules. What are the rules? You have the rules of civil procedure, criminal procedure, depending on if state first, like in Ohio, they have the rules of superintendent, they have the rules of evidence, they have the traffic rules, they have the local rules of the court, and you must follow those to the letter. Who wrote those rules? Why is those rules very important? Each branch of government has their own authority under their assignment. So their work within their confines, that's where the checks and balances come in at. No government can body can encroach upon another government body and what is assigned to them by the Constitution. So the Supreme Court write all the rules, not the legislative. The rules is the creature of the Supreme Court. I want you to understand. They are the creation of the Supreme Court, so they have jurisdiction. So when you look at that, why did they do that? Because they deal in due process of law, procedurally, making sure it's procedurally sound. That's their job. They say, hold up, we're going to make sure that everybody follow these rules. These rules apply to everybody equally. Nobody has above these rules. Nobody is above the law. These rules apply to every one of us in this room who are a part of this case, from the judge and the prosecutor and the defendant. Everybody have a set of rules. Even the judge have judicial conduct. Those are rules. They don't get to waive those rules. Those rules are written in stone. So when you know those rules of professional conduct, I didn't talk about that. Supreme Court wrote those judicial canon rules, right? Those are all written by the Supreme Court, and their authority sits over those rules as supreme. And they measure for those rules if you bring them up. If you don't bring them up, they won't get discussed on appeal. So you must understand all these moving parts so that you can have something, some skin in the game, some meat and potatoes. If you file an appeal, you better bring up everything that you understand about these rules. Now we're going to go into another element of substantive due process, and what do that look like? Substantive due process is your fundamental rights that's outside of the scope of government. These are inherent. They come with every man, woman, and child. These are rights that you are born with, that the government recognizes. These are things that the government did not give or grant. These are rights that is inherent by law of nature, by natural law. Your right of choice, your right to move freely, your right to communicate to whoever you want to communicate, your right to have friends, your Bill of Rights, your rights, right? This is why when we talk about religion, sometimes people don't understand the component of religion, but your right of belief system, that belief system still, that's your moral compass. So if you say, I don't want to dress a certain way, you have a right to not to do that. Can't nobody force you to undo how you want to dress. That's a fundamental right. If you want to wear hair gear, if you want to cover your face, if you want to wear those things, this is why no one can choose that for you. This is why religion, right, sits in that space, but it's a fundamental right. It sits under that. Say if I was atheist or skinhead, they have the same, if they want to wear all white, they want to wear their hair bald, they don't want to wear no facial hair. No one can force them outside of their belief system because it's theirs. The only thing you can do is encroach upon other rights and stress out society where there is clear, what they call in law, clear present danger. Man walking down the street butt naked with a gun and he's pointing at people. What is he doing? He's causing what? Panic. So they have a charge for that. When someone is outside doing something to encroach upon another right, making someone feel like they're in harm, he's inducing panic. That's a charge for that. So we must understand what fundamental is. Your right to have children, your right to not be called a certain thing, your right, some people address themselves as them, not her or he, but whatever, it. You have a right to do that. No one can discern who you are and your purpose in life. When you go on your job, you have to follow what the job asks you to do, or you exit your employment because they have rights too. You don't get to encroach upon your job rights. But your job can't tell you you have to grow facial hair because that's a personal choice and that's discriminatory, especially if it doesn't have nothing to do with the job, right? The job may say, well, you say it requires both hands. You have one. The job can say that's hazardous. You're working with machinery. That's dangerous. You putting other people's lives in danger. So we might use put caution into the wind. We put caution every in the wind. We taking cautionary practices to ensure the safety of our business and the people who work under our business. Now they can do something like that. But they can say, well, we can find you another position. You just can't do this one. So these aspects of understanding what substantive is versus procedural will help you understand your scope. Because fundamentally, when we talk about substantive, you have to understand all the different things and areas. We must analyze that because it can go into a deeper conversation. And you must understand substantive issues because procedure is pretty blunt and surface, but substantive is a little more unique. So when we start talking about these legal tools, these are the legal tools we need to understand. Understanding these components so that we can evolve our community to safeguard, build a vanguard, an institution that understand these elements and put them into action and have a vanguard standing there was a shield to protect our community when our community is encroached by those who choose to violate that and they have a position of authority and they know they're out of their scope and they're abusing such authority in such a way that it gives off this misconduct. And now we'll be able to identify it and be able to address it appropriately with the proper agencies. Understanding how to utilize this information by understanding even trust. When I talk about King, they talk about trust. It's very important that we understand how to shape these things into our community. Why? Why is trust important as it relates to a legal entity? A lot of us do not have the ability or the wherewithal to understand this information in totality. So there must be people placed in there to teach you how to read contracts, read statutes, help you make decision-making processes in your legal cases and in your legal situation. Because when they come and knock on your door, they say, hello, CPS. They don't say Allah, Jesus, Noble Drew Ali. They come in, they say, we got a call. This is what we finna do. We coming to take your children based on this code. None of those things is going to help you. If you don't understand how to utilize this information and to be effective and have a community that understands this information, how are you going to fight off these intruders? You won't. See, the pen is mightier than the sword because with the stroke of a pen, your children can be taken or taken. And if you don't have the wherewithal and legal knowledge and have an institution that has that information for you to safeguard your children, then what's next? And if you don't have the resources to go hire a good attorney, then what you gonna do? Now your children in the system. You don't know how to expedite this. So with rallying this information, We rally up the troops. We educate our community. We change the outcome through education, learning these legal tools to set up legal strategies to be more effective in empowering our community to make change and growth. Without this information, we are sitting ducks. Because with the stroke of a pen, a person who can put on a uniform, right? They just like me and you, but when they put on a uniform, their authority change. Judge put on their robe, his authority changed. A prosecutor come in there with his suit and tie and his badge. His authority changed. And with the stroke of a pen, your life can be turned upside down with a pen, not a gun, a pen. A pen have done more damage than any gun have ever done. A pen have done more damage than a gun has ever done. I want that to sink in, family. That a pen, it wasn't the gun first, it was the pen. It was the legislative acts. It was the constitutional things that they wrote. It was the information in the institutions that they created, that they put together by writing and typing. These CPSs, all of these different agencies that they call alphabet boys and girls, right? It's all of these things. So we must understand this information so that we can start moving in a way that safeguard our community. And I'm going to get back to trust. Why do we need a trust? Why our community need a trust? Like I said before, safeguard your mom, your children, your grandmother. The most vulnerable people in the community is the young and the old. They build the what? School to prison pipeline. Why? Why do they say the school to prison pipeline? Why is they focusing on children? Because they the most impressionable. After you get a certain age and you've been through certain things, can't nobody just tell you anything anymore. But children are very impressionable. And when they get in trouble, listen, I told you, with the stroke of a pen can change your child's life. You can be in court and don't understand why you're there. Your child could have just been with someone who done something, didn't do anything, but because they was there, that was their friend, even though they didn't do anything, they can be held responsible. This is crucial. These tools are crucial for building and sustaining our community. Without understanding these legal tools, you can't build an economic base because you can't protect what you got. If you can't protect what you got, then you won't have it very long. You must understand this information so that we can grow our community expeditiously without giving us other misconceptions and producing bad outcomes. This gives you proper way to think, proper way to take action to ensure you get the right results.
Here we have a question. That's brother Santiel. Question: What literature do you recommend to those who desire to read, to understand, and study those legal and lawful procedures and substantive rights?
So you can go to any legal library and find a law book on American jurisprudence. You can start by looking up your state local rules and all the various criminal rules and procedures, civil rules. What else? I don't know if every state call them the rules of superintendent, professional rules of conduct, rules of judicial canon. There's a lot of different rules that you can just go online and read those rules. Then try to understand those rules and look up case law based on those rules. See if you can say violation of this rule, Supreme Court case law in accordance to this rule. See what pop up. You can also get Pacer. There's other what is it called? The American what is it called? There's something with the something clearinghouse. The clearinghouse. You can go and look up that, do research on cases. But it's so much information that I've read over the years. Different books, different legal books, different Supreme Court cases. It's just a vast information. So I would start with learning the rules and then reading as much possible of my state statutes and start learning American jurisprudence. How I came about this knowledge, I started reading a lot of Supreme Court case law, and what I started understanding, there was a understanding about how the mechanism of law kind of worked. So when we're looking at a statute or the law, you got to start with who is the philosophers? What is the philosophy in dealing with this? So when we talk about the when we look at a statute, don't just look at it and say, okay, I read it. What was the purpose and intent? The persons that created that statute, they are the legislators. They have a legal framework that they must consider, right, when writing a statute. They know they have to stay within the constitutional scope. They have a certain mindset of philosophy is inscribed in that statute to ensure that they meet a particular understanding what is being conveyed. Then from there is core principles that is in that statute. Then there's elements. And the elements are the DNA of that principle. It's just like me, King L. Bay, but I'm made up of RNA and DNA. And my DNA is can identify who I am. That separate me from Abdullah and Brother Raheem that you're looking at right now, my DNA. So that's how you can identify the difference between different principles, right? Then you have evidentiary tools or standards of practice based on the rules of evidence that the Supreme Court wrote. You got to understand how this stuff works, jurisdiction, and how statutes are created. They're creatures of Congress or legislators, and how the rules are creatures of, of Congress. I mean, creatures of the rules are the creatures of the Supreme Court. I'm sorry. All the various rules, because they write the rules. So they the ones who can interpret the rules because they are the authors. The legislative body is the authors, right? They get to write it, but under the constitutional authority, the Supreme Court get to interpret what was written. So you got to understand their role in this component. So when you're dealing with original jurisdiction, especially if you're looking at something constitutionally or based on a rule. So I see a lot of arguments that people may argue the Fourth or Fifth Amendment. But what about a rule? What about that state rule violation, a discovery? You might argue Brady, but what about in accordance to that rule that they failed to meet the timeline and with expressed within that rule? And that rule, you identify the rule and you take Supreme Court case law along with Brady, showing the president how Brady was shaped, but you also argue the elements of that rule, that they failed to adhere to that rule that you have the authority to address due to you are the authors of such rule. And now y'all got to give me, because there was a time computation associated with that rule. It's tell you 7 days before trial, 10 days before a hearing, whatever the language. I don't know how each state write it. If they fail to do that, and then you show and you identify, I made my filings here, right? You put in your motion, your affidavit of support, family. You have an affidavit in support of your motion that you're writing. So how do you support it? You state something that's a fact that align with that, and then you present the evidence. So you have your motion, your affidavit in support of the motion, because you have firsthand knowledge. So you can express that, because you can say, on this day, I was here at that hearing at this time where the prosecutor did this. He failed to do this. There was a hearing. He failed to show cause why he did not file. When I asked for the discovery material, he was late and he did not show cause. Okay. Then you have your motion, prosecutor, based on this under the Fourth Amendment. Whatever Brady discovery of the Sixth Amendment, that they failed to do Brady C affidavit, affidavit in support, line, whatever, right? And exhibit B. And then you have all of that correlated, the affidavit, you have the motion, the affidavit, and the exhibits supporting your position. Now it's a fact, because now it's different between truth and fact. Me and you can see two same thing, but have two different truths about it. But once a fact is determined, everybody in the room agrees to that fact. It cannot be changed. It's a fact. Truth is subject to one's perception. Facts tend to be something that everyone agreed that exists. So once you prove that fact, and now you go on and you do it the same way. But most of us don't even know how to file motions or briefings and utilize this strategy. That's why you got to read your local rules. A lot of motions don't have to be supported by affidavits. I just stumbled across that through my practice and reading. The best position I learned was to have an affidavit in support of whatever motion, because I have firsthand knowledge. And then I back it up with the case law and the motion and the exhibits to prove such position. Now it's ironclad, where I could show where something was done in error, in which now I'm entitled to a cause of action. I can show cause why I need what? Relief to be granted under this rule. Without these legal tools, our community is not safe. Our inability to understand what they're using against us. When the police, once again, we got a warrant, they're not going to say Jesus. They're not going to say we coming in Allah. They're not going to say Noble Drew Ali. They're going to use the law. None of that is going to protect you. They're going to use the statute, the law, everything that they in their power to justify their cause of action. And you better know the law to defeat their cause of action. And if you don't, you're going to be in some trouble. So we have to understand how to come together and use this information wisely so that we can start making change. A community that's vulnerable cannot build economic structure. It can't build nothing until you remove the vulnerability. You have to remove that element. It's hard for us to do something. We can say, well, we're going to get some economics. Okay, what if they don't like what we're doing? And once again, we got a warrant. Ain't nobody been doing nothing. But with the stroke of a pen, as she said, I can embarrass you. I can strip you of everything. I can ruin your good name. Because that's all it takes. You can have a legitimate business and the people in power to say, we don't like that, shut that down. We can't shut it down this way, but we're going to make sure it gets shut down. Now your name is ruined. You went to jail. They said y'all committed some fraud. Don't nobody want to touch you, even after you beat your case. You too hot. You too hot. We got to learn how to get remedy. We got to learn how to look at things, source things, put things in the proper perspective because we're too vulnerable, because we don't know the law. We don't know international law. We don't understand how our position in nationality. We don't know how the international law and the international framework works right now in our situation. So we speak of things, right? And we make up things because we don't understand international law. Before the United States was even born, how did they was birthed? It was formed under international law. It was creation from the international standpoint, so you can get to this national standpoint. And if you don't understand that, then you don't understand our status as we trying to reach back to go to a place that we once were, to wake up our mother, right? To restore our nationality upon us. Not our consanguinity, our bloodline, but our political side. To do what? Protect and further safeguard, right? Our beliefs and our rights and how we want to shape our lives and protect our future of us and our children. But if you don't understand that, you don't know how to move in this direction. If you don't understand that, you don't know how to protect yourself. And if you're unprotected, right? What happens when we leave children unprotected? They are vulnerable. What happens when we leave our elderly unprotected? They become vulnerable. When we remove that protection, and the whole purpose of law is to give us protection, is that we must understand how to use this appropriately, not misappropriately, so that now we have these protections constantly in our community. That people will see that we took this now serious. And now we're able to do this. And when you start understanding that, now you can build protections Now you can build certain things to help the community. Now you can build up the economics in the community. And now what you can do is growth and development. Any questions, Abdullah? Anybody got any questions?
You gonna like this one. You gonna like this one.
Okay.
Ain't gonna get fired up. Watch out! Here we come. Here it comes. Smoke Nature L Tammuz Bay. Here we go. King gonna love this one. They don't use or honor the law. They only enforce policy, police. They are outlaws outside of law and can only deal with corporations, not the flesh and blood, natural being. Everything is commercial. You're gonna get fired up. Here we go. Got the floor, King.
Okay, we're gonna kill those misconceptions, right? Because I think we're moving in that direction a lot. We're talking about that, like we go to court and we say, "I'm the flesh and blood man," and y'all are a corporation. No. That's this is why you got to understand.
You mentioned that they're outlaws. That they're outlaws too. Remember that they're outlaws. Hold on, let's go. Let me read it again. Let's read it again. They do not use or honor the law. They only enforce policies, police. They are outlaws outside of law and can only deal with corporations, not the flesh and blood, natural being. Everything is commercial.
So these are the things that we got to address and kill, right?
Let's address it one thing at a time, one part at a time. That's all. Let me do it. That's part of it, because there's a lot there. But
read the first part then.
Let me read the first part. So let me just one part at a time. They do not honor the law. Let's start this part, but let's address it point by point. They do not honor the law. So let's address that.
So let's address that, right? So I've been in a lot of legal cases throughout the years, and I have raised due process. That's normally what I raise, and it has been satisfactory in those areas with helping people with getting their kids. They do honor the law, because without law, you got only tyranny. Then you have a lawless society. They have structure. That's why the Constitution is there. If they didn't honor the law in no shape or form, you wouldn't have government agencies. You wouldn't have none of these things that exist. They operate in the legal system, and they understand that operation through and through. The problem is our ignorance. We don't know how they're operating because we're not aware, because we don't understand the legal system that's in place and the mechanisms that they're using. So now we confuse law with policies, and that's an internal matter versus a legal matter. So we don't even know how to use the proper legal words to address an issue, because the legal framework is very important to understand how this law operates. So you can't say they're not they don't honor the law, because they do it every day. You wouldn't have what's the need of a court system if you don't have law? Why would a judge sit on the bench? Is this to pretend? If they're going to pretend that they're going to just be terrorizers, why even have anything in the first place? When I could just run around with a gun and just terrorize you. I can lock you up. I don't need no court system. I don't have to go through any of that. We understand that the system is flawed, but if that's the case, why won't they just run around and tell you what to do and tell you to shut up? So the system is in place, not just for us, but for them too, because they have to keep order. Why? Because in the midst of chaos, what happens? Everything go wrong. Everything go wrong. This is why in war, what do they tell you? A lot of a lot of people get killed from friendly fire. Why is that? Because it's chaotic. You shooting at everything that light up, even your own troops, because you don't know if it's dark. You don't know who's there. In this chaos, you cannot create nothing from chaos. The chaos must settle, and then you build. You cannot have a lawless society and think it's supposed to work. Because now you're a hypocrite and nobody will honor that. Not even their other constituents. Everything is on the floor. Everything. So that misconception is thrown out the window. So law is there not just is to promote what? Peace and structure, give structure to society.
So, King, there's an assumption. Let's continue with that, King. So there's an assumption here. Brother Smoke, thank you for that, brother. We're going to stay on this. There's an assumption that Brother Smoked has that about conscious Moors and also unconscious Moors, particularly Brother Smokes being a conscious Moor, that conscious Moors have the assumption that Brother Smoked is coming with is that conscious Moors know the law. That's the assumption he's coming with. That conscious Moors are coming correct, right? And that it's the court that is out of order because he's saying that they don't honor law. So that's the assumption is that conscious Moors know the law. That conscious Moors have this knowledge of jurisprudence, and that is the court that is lawless. All right. So you made it clear and for the past 40 minutes here, King, is that in our communities, and that includes conscious Moors, that we don't have the knowledge. It's more so that. All right. So can you just reiterate?
He put one more thing in the chat that I want you to address. Let me read it real quick.
Yeah, go ahead, brother.
I want you to address this. So he said, they told me they don't use constitutional case law to my face and that I couldn't challenge personal jurisdiction or subject matter jurisdiction. It's a game. So, you could address that also.
Just that, King. Just that now.
So this is what I'm talking about. Moors think they know the law. So they got personal jurisdiction. They have the territory. Under international law, you are subject within the territory. You can't escape it. Only time you can escape it is through diplomatic channels, through government agreements. As a citizen, you are identified as a U.S. citizen, so they have personal jurisdiction over you because your status. Understand your relationship. Status is your relationship to persons, places, and things. So your status as a U.S. citizen, they have personal jurisdiction over you. And what was the other one he said? They don't honor constitutional law or something? So they do honor constitutional law. That's why they wrote it. It's our ignorance is most of the time. We don't know how to express it properly. And we're challenging jurisdiction and they have it. So we don't even understand how to challenge it properly. If I was going to challenge jurisdiction, I would say, Your Honor, that the other party, if it's the state or if it's a private person, haven't perfected due process. In order for this court to move forward, that due process is a requisite that is required for, it's a lock and key system. Without due process, the person who's trying to open the doors to the court cannot get in due to the fact they haven't perfected due process. What do I mean? They haven't gave me informed notice. I haven't been notified. They haven't presented me with something so that I can ensure my right to be heard in court. They're trying to ambush me. So this court, by its lack of operation of law, failed to adhere to due process. They can't have this hearing today. and then they probably just have to reserve you and go through the process again. But that's how you can stop that and challenge jurisdiction based on a due process, because that's the requisite. But they have personal jurisdiction because you're a U.S. citizen and you within the territory. Even if I was a Frenchman and I landed in the United States, guess what? They got territorial sovereignty. I'm here on their land. That's just like, make it simple. I'm in your house. Can I just stand up and walk across your couch with my muddy boots? You're going to flip out because it's your house. You make the rules for your house. Hey, brother, you got to take the shoes off before you come in. If I don't like it, then I don't need to come in your house if I got to take off my shoes. It's just simple as that. We don't know the law, so we listen to a lot of these misconceptions, and we saying that now I'm going to challenge jurisdiction because jurisdiction can be challenged at any given time, but most of us don't know how to challenge the jurisdiction based on misconceptions of law. So we're thinking that we escaped and we're not 14th Amendment citizens and that we're not U.S. citizens, that we are state or federal citizens, however you think, right? You are within the scope of the territory, so they have jurisdiction.
Hey, King, let me qualify. Let me just real quick. All right. When King says, so this qualified, that we know that this is not their land. They have territorial, a primary principle in international law is called territorial sovereignty. This is not their land. France, France conquered a large portion of our land in the late 1600s. Under King Louis XIV, large portion of our land was surveyed. Under conquest, the survey becomes the title. That's on the conquest. Louisiana Territory, named after King Louis XIV. That's the titles. The survey is the title on the conquest. France transfers territorial sovereignty to Spain in 1762 through the Treaty of Fontainebleau. The survey is the boundaries, the boundaries are laid out in the treaty. So now the survey map, as well as is transferred, it's through treaty. And then in 1801, Spain retroceded it to France in 1801. The United States acquired territory sovereignty over the Louisiana Territory, our land, from the conquering power, France, through the Louisiana Purchase Treaty. That becomes the title for the United States. The United States has territorial sovereignty. So that's what King is talking about. One of the elements of territorial sovereignty is that the one who has territorial sovereignty also has control over the territory, defined territory, as well as the inhabitants. So United States has control over the inhabitants. That includes the native Moors over the inhabitants. Because the United States acquired territorial sovereignty, our land is still under conquest. Conquest has not ended. European conquest has not ended. It was transferred, France transferred it to the United States. Spain transferred it to the United States in 1818, Florida. So keep in mind, the land is still on the conquest. But the smoke, the land is still on the European conquest. United States didn't conquer. France did. Spain did. But Spain did not return it to the native people. France did not return it to the native people. I think these conscious Moors think the land is no longer under conquest. They don't know what the United States is then. All right, go ahead, King. I just wanted to qualify that for the people.
And so let's put this into context even further. You can find those treaties, right? And under evidence, rules of evidence, you can do what? Prove your position in law. We don't have to argue about it. We can fact check everything we're talking about. Everything that I'm talking about, you can fact check. You can go look. You can go check it out. What me and Abdullah's talking about, you can fact check. It's not based in nothing. It's based on operation of law. So when you understand these things, right, and you're going to get a mouthful, you're going to learn about application of law, source of law, operation of law, findings of facts, right, conclusion of law. Is there anyone I missed, Abdullah?
Rule of law.
Rule of law.
You said application?
I said application. So these are the things that you're going to hear about. Why is this important? Because it shaped the legal system. You have to understand how all these moving parts work so that you can hit the mark. You can hit the target. Law is not a guessing game. You either know it or you don't. You either know how it works or you don't. And if it's just like you throwing darts in the dark. You don't know if you hitting the target or not. You either know this. So when you go into court, the judge is going to know how you speak and how you reference things. They're gonna know if they told me all the time. What are you? Are you a law student? No. Are you a paralegal? No. They ask me these things. How you know? Where you come from? They be surprised because people don't know when to object. Objection, Your Honor. Violation of rule, this civil rule, this, and the court is not coherent to the rule. The court known or should have known these facts due to the fact that it's evidence in the rules. It's a matter of fact. Statutes, right? It's a matter of fact. Why is it a matter of fact and not a matter of law? Law is created through court decisions and statutes. The rules are a matter of fact because it does what? These are the rules. This ain't what they use to how they went about analyzing the case and created a precedence and made a ruling. The court didn't make a ruling on the rules. The rules are the rules because this is what is required for you to do what? Exercise the law. Without these rules, then you don't have no rules to play by. Then it's anything goes. No, the court shaped these rules for everyone to follow and everybody to practice anytime you get in that arena. So you will know what to do and not to do. And if you don't follow those rules, guess what's going to happen? The court is not going to care, and they're going to look at you, and you outside of the rules, and they're going to say you're violating these rules, so this is what it is. Now, they're going to put sanctions on you, contempt of courts. Then when you get found guilty, they're going to send you off to jail through a finalization process after he make a ruling. And most people don't know you should file post-trial motions as a catch-all provision to rehash out issues before filing an appeal. This is very important to the process of law. Why do you file a post-trial motion? Because anything that you don't say in front of that judge it will not be issued or heard in the appeal court. You cannot raise new issues on appeal. They don't want to hear about that. So hit them with everything you got when you down on the district court level, on the lowest court level, so that you can say, well, I discussed everything. Here's everything. Here's all the violations. Here's everything that I discussed. And raise those issues on appeal. Now at least give you some room to wiggle with. Versus then locking yourself out because you think you know the law because you wear fez. That doesn't make you know the law. Knowing the law is through study, even reading. So let me address
Hey, real quick, King, because Brother Smoke, I'm not going to address those other points. We have a plan of action, and Brother Raheem will read it again at 8:50. You know, you cannot go to the community and say, they don't honor nothing. They don't honor law. You cannot have, how do you effectuate change in the community? They're lawless. They don't honor law. You're not going to be able to effectuate in that what people who speak, they don't have the knowledge. They don't have the knowledge. So they try something. They heard something on YouTube or somebody they've been following. It didn't work. So they're saying they don't honor law. You know what I mean? They don't honor law. They're lawless. You're not going to be able to affect change in the community. I'm not going to address those other points because I want you to get. I just want to, that we have a plan of action. King has 17 years of experience, winning case after 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 case.
Matter of fact, they can go look at Michael Long Bay on YouTube.
Yeah, in fact, I'll put that on. Israel, can you post that on your Facebook page, and I'll share it tonight. Parts, yeah, Michael. Parts was that 4 and 5, 4 and 6 of the Moorish Investigative Research Committee.
Most of us, when we think about law in American jurisprudence, most Moors don't even understand the concept of American jurisprudence to the degree and how all of these components work. So what they do is they bring in two forms of constitutional, international law, and they mix it all together. And they come up with this pseudo-like law thing that's outside of the scope. So I didn't have prosecutors try to blend statutes, right? That's a no-no. When you try to blend international law and bring it into a proper venue and mix it with constitutional law, that's a no-no. Why do I say that's a no-no? So, okay. Let me make this simple. Abdullah has a set of rules for his house, right? I have a set of rules for my house. I can't impose my rules and mix them into his rules where now I can control his house. That's not how it works. He's going to say, can you using your rules over here? No, that's not how it works. I got my rules over here, and those are your rules. The international law, how it works, it recognizes states, but they give the ability for states to work together under what? Multilateral treaties and other compacts and other agreements. They do not go and mix their laws into another state law. That's a no-no. You can't go in their house and start using your laws to regulate their house. That's a no-no. You can't bring your constitutional principles into the fold of their jurisdiction and try to tell them how your constitution is going to mend with theirs, and that yours going to oversee their business and affairs of what they got going on and the people that live there, the inhabitants and the non-inhabitants, and because now you're creating chaos, and their objective is to what? Promote peace and maintain control. So when you don't understand international law, you can't even put the proper application together what's going on with us in our current condition. We have to start using all of these different things and addressing if this is going to work. No, most of the individuals, they do not have a proven theory of what this certain things that they're using to show that it works. And I know the people, this movement been going on too long, right? Now it's time to get remedy. We put together based on legal outcomes, based on experience, based on stuff that's already improving. This ain't nothing I created. This stuff existed before I was born.
And then let me address that King. And that's what Brother Smoke. This is not King's way. King is not talking his way, Brother Smoke. The statement is, or question, I'm just saying, bro. So we all have to do it the way y'all doing it, or we wrong or going to jail. This is not King's way. King is not teaching his way. So clear it up, King, that you're not teaching your way. This is not King's personal way that King came up with on his own, that this is his own personal way of doing it. Because it's the way it's structured, that this is King's own personal way. So clear it up, King, that this is not your own personal way that you came up with. Because you mentioned you were very articulate in explaining we need to know the rules. It's King, this is not King's way. King did not write the rules. King did not write any rules of the court. So this is not King's way. Let's make it clear.
So I didn't make any of the rules.
Make it clear. It's not your way. It's not your way.
So let's clear it up. I didn't make the rules. I don't make the case decisions. I didn't set the Supreme Court case law. I didn't do any of those things. All of these things are what? These are created by the court. If you are a jurist, you understand, you look at the jurisdiction you in and you learn the system of law and you work within that system. You do not come up with your own infrastructure. You work with the system, with the rules and everything that they give you. They give you these legal tools. That's just like if somebody give you a tool belt and they say, here's your tools. These are the tools you're supposed to work with. This is what you got to work with. This is nothing I created. This stuff existed before me. I'm not telling people to follow my way. I'm saying read it, research, study, educate yourself, read it, exercise this enough. See, I was boots on the ground for a long time, and I gained the experience through understanding how to write briefing, how to look and analyze what's going on. This ain't stuff that I came up with. All these rules and stuff that I study and all these case law, it's their stuff. I'm just following how things supposed to be done. I'm not telling people to follow my way. I'm telling you, do the research and look what's being presented. I'm telling a lot of Moors are wrong. Filing quorum rentos, no. Don't even understand the structure. Don't even probably got the right caption. Don't even read the rules when you're filing that. Understanding that caption is understanding application of law. and with the application, and did you meet the merits of the application? Did you meet the elements based on the principle and everything? And how to set up the briefing. I see so many people doing wrong. Like the affidavit in support, go read your local rules. Read how a lot of even attorneys ain't doing that. But go read it. I see it all the time. I do it on a consistent basis. Motion, affidavit of support with exhibits. I didn't make this stuff up. This ain't nothing to do with me. I didn't do any of this. This is how the structure that they do. This is how it's given. We want to put our own swag in it, twist it up to make it seem like we know what we're doing, and we ain't following the law at all. We just created a process and it don't work. I filed a court rental, I challenge the jurisdiction, and then I go to jail. Then they get out. Man, it worked. How did it work? They let me out, right? This is what's going on. I done filed all this paperwork. Sometimes judges just be like looking at you someday, like, man, this ain't the day, man. I'm ready to go home. Get him out of here. What is this? Oh, man, Jay Wackle. Okay, get him up out of here. Get him on up out of here. Most of y'all go in there and argue with the judge instead of dealing with the prosecutor because he represents the state. Y'all go in there talking about, I want to confront my accuser. You don't even understand what's going on. You don't even know the wording on how to look at that and ask the court, okay, I'm asking the state to perfect their claim so they can get relief. What do I mean by that? Your Honor, the state has brought this case before the court and it hasn't perfected all the elements within the statute. I'm asking that the court look at this. There's too many due process violations. First, the court has to do what? Crenshaw versus the United States. What is that about? First, they got to state a claim. What is the claim? What are we talking about? So, what jurisdictions do the Constitution allow? What four jurisdictions in law under the constitutional fold, what jurisdictions do they talk about? Common law, equity, maritime, and amity. What other jurisdictions there are? They call traffic court quasi-criminal. Why? Because it's civil in nature, but what? Penalties, criminal penalties. You can go to jail. They say as well as quasi-criminal. Where is the quasi? Do that say in the Constitution? Quasi-criminal? Quasi-criminal? Well, this is a quasi-criminal court. Okay, I'm going to challenge the court on that. I'm going to ask the court, what jurisdiction am I in? It's a criminal jurisdiction. Criminal jurisdiction? Constitution don't say nothing about no criminal jurisdiction. I'm asking the court dismissed. I don't even know they coming up with this phantom jurisdiction. I don't know what this. Show me this show me the source of law which you're using. Show me under American jurisprudence the source of law that they say it is criminal jurisdiction. Show it to me. Show me the source. You don't even know how to challenge because you don't know the law. When you don't know the law, you can't talk. What jurisdiction am I in? You talking about quasi-criminal? Show me the law. Show me the source of law. I'm talking about the legislative act. I'm talking about the statute, any Supreme Court case law. Show me the law. Show me the Constitution where it talks about quasi-criminal. This court is acting upon a secret jurisdiction that is unknown to the public, making it vague. Under constitutional vagueness, I cannot proceed with this. This court cannot. So I'm challenging this on vagueness, constitutional vagueness, and you take it before original jurisdiction on constitutional grounds for vagueness. I don't know what jurisdiction they talking about all this different stuff. I don't know. Your Honor, I can't find none of this. I look up, they say it, but I'm trying to figure it out on the statute. I'm trying to figure out where did they get this from. They say under the Supreme, they say that it's an inferior court, but they still got to identify the jurisdiction. I don't see that in the rules. I don't see it in the statute. I'm charged with this. How quasi criminal? The United States don't even have a criminal jurisdiction. They only got the states 4. They have criminal procedures. This is why you got to know the law. There's rules of criminal procedures. It doesn't say criminal jurisdiction. It says criminal procedures. We're talking about the constitutional language. We're talking about the what? The constructive rules, right? We're talking about statutes. Show me the source of law that this court will reference. Okay, you using the Supreme Court case law. Show me where it identified this, that under the constitutional fold under which they operate, they identify a quasi-criminal jurisdiction. Show me the source of law. So that now I can be aware of the application of law that's being used. That this identified, you can go to the general rules. Look at your traffic laws. At the beginning of every section of every code, it has a set of definitions. And it tell you. Show me in that set. Don't use no black law because that jurisdiction is going to come up. If you look up under your state laws, if I go to Ohio traffic laws, not traffic rules, I put in the revised code, it's going to pop up under that section code. And I'm going to go to the first part and I'm going to look up definitions of that section. Why? Because they're giving you clear general definitions that apply under that section. Show me where the source of law where this court can identify this as quasi-jurisdiction. If this court can show me this and the prosecutor can show me this, well, I'm challenging the jurisdiction on constitutional grounds for vagueness. And then I'm going to the court want to proceed. I'm going to ask for a motion to stay and file an injunction based on what the court records say and identify.
Not King's way.
Not King's way. These are all things that you can find in accordance to the rules. There's only 2 types of injunctions. They tell you in the rules. There's preliminary and there's what?
You sure you didn't come up with that, King?
No, I ain't come up with that, Abdullah. I'm pretty
it's not King's way.
Nah, it ain't my way. I ain't make up none of these rules. I ain't did none of this stuff. I'm staying within the scope. I'm exercising the law as accordingly, and I'm thinking proper. This is why the Supreme Court said you must think proper. You must think proper. Failure to think proper because the 4 things that the court is looking for, they're looking for errors. They're looking for errors, omissions, mistakes, and defects in law.
Yeah, spend some time explaining that, King.
So when we talk about errors, omissions, defects, and mistakes, the court is looking for that, an error in law. This means that the person is not thinking proper and they're not adhering to the law and the rules. They're not adhering to due process. So they fail to respect the law, and that's an error. When you're looking for omissions where the police or any agency omitted something, right? Omitted evidence that may exonerate you. They're looking for those omissions, failure to make a proper statement. They left something out intentionally. The court is looking for that. They're looking for things, errors, omissions, and defects. What is a defect? Something that is defective in the process, where they failed to do something or something was defective where the court, now you can identify the defect in law based on the language of the statute. The statute can be defective in a way. Why? Because it don't meet constitutional muster. It goes in and invade a private space of life that it wasn't intended to do, and the legislators wrote something that's outside the constitutional fold, meaning it don't meet constitutional muster because it violates the very thing that is sworn to protect. Mistakes in law. When somebody made a mistake, got the wrong person, spelled the wrong name, did something and got you in court where it wasn't even you. It was a mistake. It was something that was a mistake. They looking for those things. All this stuff that I'm talking about, you can go fact check. You can go identify. You can go look up. This is nothing that I came up with. When the appellate court look for stuff, they're looking for constitutional errors, plain errors. They're looking for various errors in law. All you got to do is look up. You can look it up, Google it. What is the errors in law that the appellate court, once they review them, what is they're looking for those errors? Identify the errors that the appellate court is looking for. It's going to pop up a list of errors. I didn't make this stuff up. Anything you can do, you can fact check. But this comes from being boots on the ground, really litigating. I know when a lot of Moors say that they're doing this, they haven't litigated. They haven't wrote appeals. They haven't wrote briefings. They haven't wrote real motions. They have wrote, I don't do motions, I do affidavits. Now, an affidavit don't move the court. The rules say motions. They don't say affidavits. Read the local rules. They tell you how to use an affidavit. They tell you what to do. That's where I got it from. I ain't make none of this stuff up. This ain't none of what I made up. And when it was used appropriately, Abdullah, right? When Mike used them methods, did it work in his behalf?
It sure did. I'll send that, brothers. Y'all probably post those 2 videos. King did the entire case in the class structure on PowerPoint. They're all exhibits, all the motion and exhibits are on the and 2 parts on the PowerPoint. All the motions, all the Mike's exhibits are there. The process, King goes through the whole process.
I'm very meticulous and
yeah, he is, man. He sure is.
So when people address this, right, I try to just get people to understand, hey man, this is what we need to be doing. So these legal tools, a family, is what we need. We need to learn these legal tools so that now we can do something about how our community is being treated. The treatment of our communities. You want economics, you want a better community, learn these legal tools. So what? That you can learn how to safeguard your community. That you can understand proper trust structures. That we can bring now real experts in to help us. That we can have dialogue because we understand something and people know now that we understand something. So we can march ourselves back to sovereignty. But we're not going to get there if we don't understand these things. We're going to continue to be laughed at. And we're going to still continue to be targeted. Why? Because we're low-hanging fruit and we don't have the information necessary to promote change.
Mm-hmm. All right, all right. Uh, brother, Raheem, you want to read that again?
Sure. I just want the brother to understand that that the individual filing paperwork, not it. You know what I'm saying? They have to really listen to this. Legal tools to safeguard and protect our communities. We gather not just to talk about problems, but to present solutions. Our plan of action is rooted in one fundamental principle. Knowledge of the law is power. And when that knowledge is shared collectively, it becomes protection. Our objective. Our objective is clear: to create civic and educational pathways that improve the political, economic, and social conditions of our communities. We aim to do this by teaching our people the legal tools necessary to prevent and challenge discriminatory practices, including due process violations, prosecutorial misconduct, judicial misconduct, police misconduct, unethical agency practices. These are not abstract issues. These are real challenges affecting real families, real futures, and real communities. Moving from reaction to prevention. For too long, many of our communities have been placed in reactionary position, responding only after harm has occurred. Our plan shifts that paradigm. We move from a reactionary approach to a preventive strategic approach. Instead of asking, what do we do now that the damage is done? We ask, how do we prevent the damage in the first place? Education is the foundation of prevention. When communities understand their constitutional protections, their procedural rights, complaint mechanisms, oversight bodies, administrative remedies, legislative channels, they become less vulnerable and more empowered. Preventive measures. Our initiative focus on preventive measures designed to de-escalate volatile encounters, deter discriminatory actions, diminish systemic targeting, solve prejudicial situations before they escalate. We educate our people on how to properly document incidents, file complaints with the appropriate local, state, and federal agencies, pursue civil remedies and lawsuits where necessary, engage legislative representatives, and advocate for policy reform. This is not about confrontation, it's about lawful strategic engagement. It's about understanding the system well enough to navigate it effectively. Stopping the corrosion. Unchecked misconduct corrodes trust. Unchecked discrimination corrodes opportunity. Unchecked targeting corrodes entire communities. Our mission is to stop that corrosion. We do that not through rhetoric, but through structure, through education, through lawful action, and through organized civic engagement. Pathways to remedy and resolution. Every problem must have a pathway to remedy. We are building clear pathways to administrative resolution, judicial remedies, legislative reform, community accountability, policy transformation. We are building a culture where our communities know where to go, what to file, who to contact, what timelines apply, what standards must be met. And most importantly, we build a culture where our people understand their rights before those rights are violated. In closing, this is about safeguarding our communities. This is about strengthening civic literacy. This is about transforming vulnerability into preparedness. When we teach legal tools, we build protection. When we build protection, we build stability. When we build stability, we build power. This is our plan of action. Legal tools, civic education, preventive measures, pathways to remedy and resolution. When unity and knowledge comes together, it becomes an unstoppable force. Gratitude.
Right on. Awesome, brother. Awesome. This is once again tell them once again who you are.
I'm Rahim Allah Bey, founder and president of Meeting of the Mind Civic Association and Meeting of the Mind Study Group. Also member of most Moroccan Post School of Government and International Law, Moorish Investigative and Research Committee, a human rights defender, and a human rights nationality for our children national campaign, among other things. But
Yes.
yeah. And to the
Awesome.
brother, he also said we only have 30 people on here. You know, our network is extensive, my bro. Just to know, let him know that. It's not just the 30 people we have here.
Oh no, we got brother.
Yeah, we have, yes, bro.
I mean, Luisa Flores. Luisa Flores is the community outreach coordinator of the Meeting on the Mind Civic Association, and her outreach over 100 organizations, outreach 45 years, 50 in the community since we was 5 years old. Outreach extends over 100, not 100 people, over 100 organizations. All right. Although Donna Venetia, we got extensive outreach in New York and North Jersey. Other parts, no, we absolutely not. No. No.
See,
Yeah, I
was-
know they don't know. That's good. They don't. It's all good.
So I want to address this. This is not a popularity contest.
Yeah, I know. But we still want to set the record straight that our outreach.
Right.
Yeah.
Our outreach is very major, but
Yeah.
understand we're taking action and get real remedy.
Oh no, yeah, absolutely.
You know, thank you, brother Rahim, for all the work. Thank you, brother Abdullah.
Wow.
I'm just saying that you brothers we're going to spearhead this and make change. Everybody going to align themselves up with this because this is going to be giving real remedy. And what real remedy do is going to give us growth and development.
Hey, King, somebody wants to reach out to you. How can they reach out to? This is the who is it? M Limja. How can I connect with King? You want to give your number or no?
Yeah, they can get my number. You can put it in the chat.
Well, I don't know if you have it. I don't have it off here. You know, I don't know numbers, man. I don't type numbers, man. I don't dial numbers.
I'm trying to figure out. They can get in touch with me. How could they get in?
Well, you want them give them I can give them my number and then send them. I mean, it's up to you. I mean, they want.
Yeah, you can give them my number. How could they get in?
Just give them your number now. That's up.
Broadcast it all over the.
No. All right, tell you what, I'll do. I call me 215-300-5471. Cause my number's public anyway. 215, out there like that. 215, it's been out there, for years. 215-300-5471. And I'll give you King's number.
Yeah.
215-300-5471.
Smoke, take that down and tap in.
All right, Smoke has my number already. He's had my number for years.
Let's tell him to tap in. Let's
tell him to tap in.
Tell him to tap in. Let's have a call.
Let's have a talk. Let's sit down.
Yeah, definitely.
That's it. Yeah, absolutely.
We got big outreach and big remedies coming.
So we got some positive comments, y'all. I'm looking for. Hold on. Give me a minute. I want to read. International. That is just where did it go? The people just putting in. All right, here we go. Tiger S Enterprise LLC 73. The information King is bringing has made me want to pull out my transcripts and go back to the drawing board. Tiger also writes, I have stacks of my own transcripts that I can review with a different mind today, and I learned from. All right, so we don't want to. I mean, you know, like there are people who have gained from this. All right, and will continue to gain. King will be May 2nd, April 2nd. King will be King will be broadcast. King will be broadcast through Telegram. He will be broadcast through Telegram. It's the week of Luisa Flores, Raheem, and I will be in Edison. We'll be in Edison, New Jersey on, I'm not Edison, East Orange, New Jersey on April 2nd. From 5 to 8, King will be broadcast in live through Zoom. Through Zoom. So y'all be able to watch it. I'll put but through Zoom. King will be in New York on May 16th. He'll be arriving on May 15th, but the lecture is May 16th. And that's, yeah, so we presented the flyers earlier, about an hour and a half ago. All right, so we have Jeffrey Bay, always learn something new. Islam, that's Jeffrey Bay 6207. Tiger 7, Enterprise LLC 73. I get it, Mo. Everyone can't agree on everything, but together we can get to a truth. Your input is important for educational purposes. Peace, love to you more. Now, my response to agreeing on everything, if someone disagrees with me, they have to show me through evidence. All right. Saying I don't agree, that means nothing to me. That means nothing. Abdullah, you're wrong. That means nothing to me. Show me through finding of facts and evidentiary standards that I'm wrong. Show me through finding of facts and evidentiary standards that King is wrong. I mean, I'm just saying, it's not agreeing. What does that mean? Or disagree or agreeing? If you agree, then show through finding of facts and evidentiary standards, you know, that he's there or wrong. We have to use the legal tools again. Once again, it's using legal tools to protect and safeguard our communities. So finding a fact, one of the principles of finding of facts, and conclusion of law. Yeah, also another one, conclusion of law. So finding of facts, the key. I want you to, you know, before we just give us a few more minutes, King, Hank, explain the principle of finding of facts and the connection to evidentiary standards.
Okay, so when you understand what you're looking for, findings of facts, right? These are within the scope of the rules. I didn't make this up. You can look up this, everything that I'm telling you. So they use what they call finding of facts to they use the rules of evidence to do what? These are all within the rules. If you look up the rules of evidence, they're going to talk about finding facts. So when you look at these findings, right, findings of facts, you must understand how to utilize these rules and what determines something as a fact. So it has to have enough credibility, right, that it can stand on its own in a sense. It can stand on its own. If I tell everybody I got on a black shirt, this is a fact that can stand on its own. If I put it in an affidavit and say, I wore a black shirt on Moorish Monday, what is this, February the 2nd or the 3rd?
March 2nd.
March 2nd, I'm sorry, March 2nd. Everybody will agree that this is a black shirt. I put it in an affidavit and I say, well, they was charging me. I could say, now, in the motion, I could put in my motion to suppress or motion to whatever, and then I'm gonna put in there C affidavit. I might have my case law, then I'm gonna say C affidavit support. On this day, based on the facts at this time, I was doing Moorish Monday with
Yep.
Abdullah Bay and
Yep.
Raheem Bay, and I had on a black shirt and a black hat, scarf, and I wore
Mhm.
glasses. See exhibit. Then I would take and the exhibit of this video, and
The video.
then I would take the YouTube channel and post it in the affidavit and all of that with a picture of me, with me being on here at this time, showing what I had on.
And we're clearly witnesses, but we're here right in video. We're clearly witnesses.
And if I need a subpoena or whatever,
And then we got people who got the listeners, people in the chat, witnesses. Yeah.
so these are so when we talk about findings of facts, you cannot say these things and you don't have the evidence or the facts that support your claim. This is how you perfect the claim. You cannot talk about things and you don't have no results showing these facts. You can't just present something. You can't just say something. You got to bring the facts. Now, once you bring the facts, now show me how the law is concluded based on the facts that you presented, the application of law that was being utilized, and what the law is now has concluded and in the past based on case law.
Case law.
Verify and support your position. Show me that way. Don't just say we agree, because this is nothing I've done. This is how, if you go internationally, if you go domestically, this is what they do. This ain't nothing I do. This is what the jurists do. Real jurists think and act and behave in this capacity. This ain't got nothing to do with me. You're going to find 100 King L. Bays if you go into international law. You're going to start finding a whole bunch of other King L. Bays when you start going into a proper jurist and understand. They're going to be like, oh, they all and talk like him. No, I talk like them. I didn't make none of this. It just sounds different to you because you're not used to somebody presenting you this way.
There you go. That's what it is. That's what it is, King. That's it. Ding ding. Ding ding. Hit it. Hit it.
So I'm letting y'all know, you might say, well, I went over there and I went to the international body and they was talking about their jurors and they talk like King L. Bay. No, I talk like them. This
Right on.
Me. I talk
right
like
on, brother.
Great. What they preach. I'm not doing this. Ain't none of mine. I ain't come up with nothing. I don't take no claim in nothing. I ain't made up claims. You can find every word that I'm talking about in a law book. In a law book. In a case. I'm not coming up with nothing. I ain't came up with no status correction. I ain't came up with none of these. Are not my words. I'm not coining or phrasing no words where y'all can say King made that up. I didn't make up nothing. Everything you can see, you're going to be able to find and do the research and say, oh, that really do exist. Yes, it does. There's no such thing as status correction. Let me explain to you. If the court,
we got 1 minute. We got 1 minute. So okay. I didn't want you to get into that because then it's.
I ain't gonna get into that.
Let's wind it up. Yeah, because we 10 minutes over. So.
Okay,
yeah,
when law don't recognize it, you have no recourse. I want y'all to remember that. When the law do not recognize it, you have no recourse because it's not recognized in law. You can phrase all you want. Keep doing it. It's gonna get you locked up.
All right, my brothers and sisters, man. All right, thank y'all for having us. Thank you, brother Uncle Keng. I greatly appreciate y'all. Until next week, we had Sister Donna Felicia. All right, Sister Donna Felicia, will be my guest in honor of Women's History Month. All right, so thank you very much. In fact, Sister Donna Felicia is working with us, and she works out of the office at the mansion out at East Orange, where King will be broadcast live via Zoom, and Sister Louisa Flores, Fahim Alabe, and I will be in the house at the mansion in East Orange, New Jersey. Thank you very much. Peace, everyone.
Peace, everyone.